Let's say that we have the following bit of code. We have variable a, which is of type bool, and its value is true. We then have an if statement that checks if a is true, and if a is true, it prints a is true to the console. If a is not true, it goes to the else statement, and it prints a is false. And this is great. This bit of code works just fine, but there is a better way to do this. Or not a better way, but a quicker way, more efficient way. We can use something called the ternary operator, which is the question mark. And we can use it to do something very similar. Let's comment this out for the time being. And this is the syntax for a ternary operation. First, we have the condition, followed by the ternary operator, which is the question mark. Then we have the first statement. Then we separate it with a colon, followed by the second statement. And then we end this with a semicolon. So a ternary operation returns a value. It evaluates the condition, which results to either true or false. If the condition is true, it returns the first statement. If the condition is false, it returns the second statement. Let's look at the following ternary expression and dissect it. Let's say we have true, ternary operator, and then let's give it a value of 11 and 27. We have a condition followed by the ternary operator, followed by two values separated by a colon. If the condition is true, it will return the first value. If the condition is false, it will return the second value. So if the condition equates to true, it will return 11, and if it equates to false, it'll return 27. And since it's returning a value, we need to store it somewhere. So let's create a new variable of type int called n, and we're going to store it in it. So let's change this to true. And if we print out the value of n, what do you think it would be? If you said 11, you were correct. 11. And if we change the condition to equate to false, it will get the second value and print that to the console. So it's printing out 27 now. So let's go back to what I was talking about in the beginning, and let's try and condense all of this code using a ternary operation. Let's uncomment our bool variable, and let's work over here. So let's start with the print line method. But let's press CW and then press tab twice. And inside of here is where we're going to put our ternary operation. So how would we go about condensing this into a ternary operator? Well, first let's add our condition, which is going to check if a is true. And we could just leave it as a. Just leaving the boolean as itself is the same as typing this. The condition a is equal to true is another way to write just a by itself. But for the sake of readability and for beginners, we're just going to keep it as this. Okay, we have our condition. Now we follow the condition with a ternary operator. And this is where we give the two values that we want to be returned depending on the value of the condition. And in this case, we want it to be two string values. A is true or A is false. So in the first one, we're going to type A is true. And then to differentiate between this one and the next one, we use the colon. And we're going to type A is false. So when this writeLine method is called and it takes in the argument to send to the console, it encounters the ternary operation. So it first deals with the condition. It checks if A is true. Since A is true, it returns the first value, which is a string saying A is true. If A is not true, if A is false, it will return the second value, which is a string saying A is false. So if we run this, it will print A is true to the console, and if we change the value of A to false and run the program again, it will print out A is false to the console.